What do you get when you mix Gaza, Gen Z, and a hoodie-wearing senator who doesn't care what his party thinks? You get chaos. You get drama. And most of all, you get a full-blown civil war inside the Democratic Party that's exploding, right? In front of our eyes? This isn't some quiet disagreement behind closed doors. This is public, loud, and personal. One side says the party has lost its mind. The other says the so-called moderates are betraying their values. And in the middle of it all, you've got two voices lighting the match: Bill Maher and John Fetterman. Maher's out here calling the pro-Palestinian campus protests a joke. Fetterman, he's not holding back either. He straight up said his own party is being dragged down by, and I quote, the fringe of the fringe. These aren't slip-ups. These are full-on attacks. And the reactions? Insane. Liberals calling Fetterman a sellout. Progressives trying to cancel Maher. And no one in the Democratic leadership seems to know what to do. The crazy part, you haven't even heard the wildest things they said yet. Wait till we play you the moment where Maher drops his Gaza take. It had people stunned. This isn't your usual political talk. This is raw. This is real. And this is the side of the Democratic Party they don't want you to see. If you're tired of the fakeness, the drama, the endless double standards, then don't just sit there. Hit that subscribe button, because this video is going to show you exactly why everything is falling apart. Let's talk about the two men at the center of this firestorm, because this entire thing doesn't make sense unless you understand who they are and why their words hit so hard. First, there's Bill Maher. For years, he was seen as the guy who stood up for liberals on TV. He mocked conservatives, defended free speech, and took on religion. But somewhere along the way, Maher started turning his fire toward his own side. He began saying things that made progressives very uncomfortable. He didn't change his views overnight. The party did. And suddenly, this liberal icon became one of the loudest critics of the left. Still against Trump, still supports abortion rights. Still leans liberal on most issues, but he's had enough of what he calls the new woke religion. And now he's making that message louder than ever. Then there's John Fetterman. You've seen him before. Big guy tattoos. Hoodies, looks like he just walked out of a rock concert. He's not your typical senator, and he doesn't try to. After surviving a major stroke, he came back into politics like nothing could stop him. And now he's doing something almost no Democrat dares to do. He's calling out his own party, not the Republicans, his own team. He even said it himself on live TV. I'm not a progressive. I'm just John Fetterman. It's not just a statement. That's a warning to the far left that he's not playing their game. Now put these two together. Maher, a liberal who won't play by new left rules. Fetterman, a Democrat who won't be silenced by his own base. And what do they both agree on? Gaza, not just the war. The way the left is reacting to it. The campus protests, the celebrities posting hashtags, the chants, the outrage. They both see it and call it out for what they believe it is. Where the drama really starts? Because now, it's not about Israel versus Palestine anymore. It's Democrats versus Democrats. It's the old guard versus the loud new voices. And what started as a foreign policy debate is quickly turning into a full-blown political crisis. It all really started boiling over when the protests hit the college campuses. One after another. Harvard, Columbia, UCLA. Students were waving Palestinian flags, setting up tents, chanting slogans, refusing to leave. They said it was about human rights, about standing up for Gaza, but then something changed. The chants got louder. The language got harsher. People started screaming things like "from the river to the sea," and that's when Bill Maher stepped in. Not with silence, not with soft words, but with fire. He looked straight into the camera and called it out. He said these protests weren't brave or deep or thoughtful. Called them performative idiocy. That's what he said. Performative idiocy. Suddenly the room went cold. He tore into what he saw as the fake activism. He said the kids didn't even know what they were chanting, that some of them couldn't find Gaza on a map, that they just wanted to feel part of something loud, something angry. And honestly, a lot of people were thinking the same thing but didn't have the guts to say it. Maher did, and that's when the sparks flew. But just as the shock from Maher's words started spreading, John Fetterman came in even harder. No holding back, no trying to please both sides. He said straight up, "You're either with terror or you're not." He stood there, tall in his hoodie, and called out his own party for going soft on Hamas. Not Israel, Hamas. He didn't try to walk a middle line. He picked his side. And that made a lot of people in the party very uncomfortable, especially the younger crowd, because this wasn't just some random protest or some cable show rant. This was a full collision, a senator and a top liberal voice, standing up and saying what a big chunk of Democrats don't want to admit, that the party is splitting in two. And you could see it right away. On Twitter, on Instagram, in the comment sections, some people were calling Fetterman a voice of reason. Others were saying he's a traitor to the cause. The same with Maher. Some said finally someone said it. Others said he's basically Fox News now. Even the media couldn't hide the divide. Some commentators said this isn't the Democratic Party of Obama anymore. It's the party of outrage, of shouting, of canceling anyone who doesn't say the right slogan the right way. And suddenly, the room got a lot darker. Because it wasn't just about Gaza or Israel or even protests. It was about something deeper, something breaking inside. The Democratic Party. You have one group who still believes in the old-school liberal ideas. Free speech, personal responsibility, supporting allies. And then you have this new wave, angry, loud, online, demanding moral purity and full loyalty. No middle ground, no second chances. In Gaza was the moment where it all came crashing together, where the old and new had no more space to share the same roof, and now the cracks are impossible to ignore. People who once stood side by side are now on completely different sides of this fight, and it's not going away. If anything, it's just getting started. The Gaza war didn't just start a global debate. It set off a civil war right inside the heart of the Democratic Party. And Maher and Fetterman, they didn't cause it. Just lit the match. Bill Maher didn't hold back. Never really does. But this time, he pushed even further. Sitting across from his guests, eyes sharp and voice steady, he dropped the line that made the whole room freeze. They chant for Hamas and call it peace. And he didn't say it with anger. Said it like a man who's just tired of watching people pretend that shouting slogans is the same as standing up for justice. He looked around and called it exactly how he saw it. A generation of people, mostly young, mostly online, who don't really understand the war, the history, or even who they're defending. But they chant anyway, loudly, proudly, without thinking twice. And Maher wasn't having it. He went on to call out something even deeper, not just the protests, but the mindset behind them. Said the left, especially the progressive wing, has fallen into a kind of moral confusion. A place where right and wrong no longer matter as much as who's seen as the victim. He said everything now is about this invisible scoreboard, who has suffered more, who's more oppressed. And once that label is given, that group can't be questioned, can't be criticized, no matter what they do. It's what he called the victim hierarchy. And to him, it's killing common sense. Then came the shot at Gen Z. The crowd laughed, but not all of them. Some clapped, some stayed quiet. Some just looked uncomfortable. Maher leaned back and said what a lot of older liberals have been thinking, but are too scared to say. They're more offended by misgendering than by terrorism. It wasn't a joke. It was a punch in the gut. You could feel the tension in the room. It was the kind of line that makes people check the room before reacting. Because if you cheer too loud, you might get canceled. And if you stay silent, you look weak. That's the space Maher thrives in. The awkward space. The uncomfortable truths. After that, it was like the floodgates opened. He started breaking down how the left has turned activism into performance. How protests have become a trend. How people care more about likes and hashtags than they do about facts or human lives. He talked about how people twist reality just to stay on the right side of Twitter. He even brought up how a protester called Israel a settler colony, without knowing what the term even means. And he looked at the camera like he couldn't believe what politics has become. A theater of outrage, where feelings beat facts and slogans matter more than history, And then, as expected, the internet exploded. Within minutes of the episode airing, people were already posting clips, some cheering him on, saying finally someone from the left said. What needed to be said? Others. Furious, calling him a traitor, a bigot, a closet conservative. One viral post said it all. Bill Maher is basically a Republican now, and that's the thing. He didn't say anything new. He's always been pro-Israel. He's always pushed back on extreme ideologies. But now that the crowd has moved left, he looks like he's standing with the right. When really he just hasn't moved. What makes this monologue matter isn't just the words. It's the reaction, the way people squirmed, the way the room got quiet, the way the internet split in two. Because deep down, everyone knows he's pointing at something real, something broken, and no one knows how to fix it. Fetterman isn't backing down. In fact, he's leaning in harder than ever, standing in front of reporters, cameras flashing, protesters yelling in the background. He looked dead straight ahead and said it plain. I'm the only person in the Senate with the balls to say this, and he meant it. He wasn't trying to play the middle. He wasn't dancing around his words. He knew what he was about to say would spark a firestorm, and he didn't care, not even a little. He took aim directly at the heart of his own party. Not Republicans, not conservatives, his own side. And not just random voices either. He called out the squad by name, especially Rashida Tlaib. He said their message wasn't helping anyone, and that pretending Israel is the only villain in this war was flat out dishonest. He said Israel isn't an oppressor, it's a nation under siege, getting rockets fired at it, getting blamed for defending itself. And he wasn't going to sit quietly while people in his own party twisted the story to fit some online trend. Then came the moment that really showed who he is. Protesters swarmed him outside an event. They waved signs. They shouted. They called him a traitor. Cameras caught all of it. And what did he do? Nothing. He didn't yell back. He didn't flinch. He didn't even stop walking. Just waved them off like flies and kept going. Later, when asked about it, he said it's simple. I didn't sign up to coddle terrorists. That line hit like a thunderbolt. You could feel the silence that followed it, because no one in his party talks like that. Not out loud, not without wrapping it in soft words. But Fetterman doesn't do soft. People online started freaking out. Within hours, he was trending, not for what he wore or how he looked, but for saying what most elected Democrats wouldn't dare to say. Liberal activists started calling him a MAGA Democrat. They tried to paint him as a right-wing plant, said he was giving Fox News everything it wanted, but Fetterman didn't even blink. He laughed it off and said, if standing with Israel and telling the truth makes me a MAGA Democrat, then so be it. And it wasn't just politicians reacting. The internet lit up with people saying this was the first time they felt like someone in the Democratic Party actually had a backbone. The comments under the videos were packed with messages like, finally, someone who says it like it is. And he's the only one I trust right now. For some, it was a relief. A break from all the carefully scripted responses and vague language. Fetterman wasn't trying to win points. He was just being real. The truth is, Fetterman's not playing the usual political game. He's not chasing retweets. He's not adjusting his tone depending on the audience. He's just saying what he thinks, even if it means getting roasted by his own party. That makes him dangerous to the political machine, but powerful to the people watching from the outside. Because whether you agree with him or not, you can't say he's fake. And right now, in a moment where everyone's walking on eggshells, that kind of raw honesty hits different. The moment Maher and Fetterman spoke out, the reaction was fast and brutal. Progressives didn't wait. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hit X with a sharp post, saying there should be no room for apologists for genocide in American politics. She didn't name names, but everyone knew who she meant. Her words spread like wildfire, thousands of likes, shares and comments in just minutes. And just like that, the online war began. Supporters of AOC came out swinging, calling Maher out of touch and labeling Fetterman as dangerous. The story wasn't just about Gaza anymore. It was about loyalty. Who still belonged in the party and who didn't. Then came the push to cancel. Campus groups were the loudest. Multiple university student unions put out statements demanding that Maher be removed from streaming platforms. They said giving him a platform was the same as spreading hate. A few even called on HBO to drop his show completely. Some went further and asked their universities to ban his name from events and lectures. This wasn't just disagreement, it was war. Protesters started camping outside of Fetterman's offices. In Philly, in Pittsburgh, even in D.C., they brought signs, chanted for hours, called him a traitor. Some even demanded he resign. But through all of it, the Democratic leadership said nothing. Not one press release, not one clear response. The DNC stayed quiet, and that silence said a lot, because when things explode this loudly in leadership, doesn't step in, it's not just because they're busy, it's because they're scared. They don't want to take a side. They're watching their party split and hoping it fixes itself before November. But the cracks are showing, and everyone can see them. What's wild is what's happening behind closed doors. While the loudest voices online are demanding blood, moderate Democrats are whispering something else. A few anonymous sources told reporters that privately, many in the center of the party are actually cheering Maher and Fetterman on. Not because they agree with every word, but because someone finally said what they've been thinking. That the far-left voices are becoming a problem. That the protests, the hashtags, the purity tests are pulling the party apart. But they won't say it out loud. Not yet. Because the fear of getting attacked by the activist base is real, so now there's this strange split. Publicly, Maher and Fetterman are being torn apart. But quietly, they're being seen as brave. As people who are standing on principle, even if it costs them. And that's what makes this moment so tense. Everyone is watching, waiting. The old party lines are fading, and the new ones haven't been drawn yet. The Democrats aren't just fighting Republicans anymore, they're fighting each other. And no one's quite sure how far this is going to go. The Democratic Party right now isn't just having a disagreement, it's having an identity crisis. You can feel it in every speech, every protest, every Twitter post. And this isn't just about Gaza or foreign policy anymore. It's something deeper, something that's been growing for years. Split between the old-school liberals, who still believe in free speech, personal responsibility, and a strong U.S. foreign policy, and the new generation, who sees everything through the lens of power, privilege, and identity. And now it's all clashing in public. This fight isn't really about one moment. It's generational, it's ideological, and it's moral. You've got Gen Z voters who want bold action, loud voices, and moral clarity. Even if it means tearing down old alliances or rewriting party history. And then you've got moderates people who still vote Democrat, but feel uncomfortable saying what they really think because they don't want to be labeled as bigots or traitors. Maher and Fetterman just said it out loud. That's the only difference. They gave a voice to something a lot of Democrats feel but are too afraid to admit. Here's where it gets tricky. Joe Biden is caught right in the middle. He's trying to support Israel like every president before him. But he's also trying to keep the new base happy. The young progressives, the campus activists, the online influencers who helped push him over the finish line in 2020, and now those same voters are furious. They're saying if Biden keeps backing Israel, they won't vote for him in 2024. And he knows he can't afford to lose them, especially with Trump waiting on the other side. That's the real danger here. This isn't just a debate over policy. It's a crack in the foundation of the party, and it's not closing anytime soon. The silence from party leadership is only making it worse, because every time they stay quiet, every time they refuse to take a side, they lose a little more control, a little more unity, and a little more trust from both wings of the party. So now the big question is this. Is the Democratic Party heading for a full-on fracture? Could 2024 turn into something way messier than just Trump versus Biden? What if it becomes Maher versus AOC, or moderates versus progressives? Because right now it's not just a political fight. It's a full-blown battle over what the Democratic Party even stands for anymore. The moment clips of Maher's monologue and Fetterman's bold words hit the internet, things exploded. TikTok lit up fast. One video showed Maher saying they chant for Hamas and call it peace, and within hours, it had over 2 million views. The comments were a war zone. Gen Z creators started stitching the clip, some defending him, saying he's just being honest, others accusing him of punching down and calling him an Islamophobe. The divide was raw and real, and no one was holding back. On Twitter, one post with Fetterman's protest moment went viral with the caption, "Fetterman is the most based Democrat alive." That word based kept popping up. People were tagging him, saying he's the only Democrat with a spine right now. But right next to those tweets were furious threads from progressive accounts saying he should be kicked out of the party, that he's abandoned the cause. Some even claimed he was aligning with the far right. It didn't matter that he was always left-leaning. In that moment, the left split open. Influencers jumped in too. Leftist streamers and political TikTokers with millions of followers started posting meltdown-style videos calling Maher dangerous and hateful. One called him Bill the Bigot. Another said he's just Tucker Carlson with better lighting. Meanwhile, others were reposting Fetterman clips with fire emojis saying this is the kind of leadership the Democrats need. The contrast couldn't be more clear. It wasn't just two opinions. It was two worlds crashing into each other. Even the media didn't know how to deal with it. Major news outlets reported on the protests but tiptoed around Maher and Fetterman's comments. Some anchors skipped over them completely. Others mentioned them once, then quickly moved on. It felt like even the news was scared to touch the topic. But online, no one was holding back. Substack newsletter went viral with the headline, "The Civil War Inside the Democrats has begun, and there's no turning back." That post alone was shared across Reddit, Instagram, and even WhatsApp groups. People were saying this wasn't just about politics anymore. It was about truth versus tribalism. You saw it here first. These weren't just sound bites. They were warning shots. The people watching weren't just reacting. They were picking sides. In real time, in public, and in millions of views. So now we have to ask the question no one wants to answer: who really owns the left now? Is it Maher with his blunt old-school liberalism that says what it thinks, no matter who it upsets? Or is it the new, progressive energy that dominates campuses, social media, and activist circles? Because once Gaza entered the conversation, everything changed. The slogans stopped being simple. The lines people used to hide behind disappeared. And what was left was raw anger, confusion, and a party that doesn't know who it's fighting for. Anymore, this isn't just a debate over one war or one protest. It's something bigger. It's a movement collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. A party that says it's about justice but can't agree on what justice looks like. A side that talks about unity but keeps tearing itself in half every time someone speaks a hard truth. The silence from leaders, the shouting from the base, the fear to speak honestly, it's all a sign that this isn't just growing pains, it's a real split. And the deeper it gets, the harder it will be to fix. So the question isn't just who's right. It's this: what happens if no one wins? If you've made it this far, you're clearly not here for the sugar-coated version. You're here for the real stuff. So before YouTube decides this video is too honest to show to more people, hit that subscribe button right now. It's one click and it tells the algorithm, you want more of this, not the same tired takes you get everywhere else. And trust me, we've got more coming, and it's only getting sharper. Now I want to hear from you for real. Is Maher right about Gen Z being too soft or out of touch? Is Fetterman actually the only adult in the room while the rest? Just play politics in the comments. Don't hold back. Tell me what side you're on.